I bought a lot of sports cards over the last 6 months, and I'm here today to show you some of the cards that I bought and explain to you what the heck I was thinking when I bought them in the first place on today's episode, the first episode of DIY Sports Cards. Hello everyone and welcome to DIY Sports Cards. My name is Ramon Garcia Ferrer. I'm the founder of IconicTradingCards.com. When I built this channel, the sole purpose was to give a deeper dive into the buying and selling of sports cards to collectors and investors alike. We all share the same thing, and that's the passion of this hobby. I'm an avid collector, but I'm also an investor. And one thing that both collectors and investors have in common is they do a lot of buying, whether it's done through marketplaces such as eBay, through trades, through breaks, whatever the source of your cards may be, you're still in it to do one thing, to try to identify the cards that you want to get. Today, I want to share with you some of the cards that I purchased over the past 8 months and give you a reason as to why I did it. It'd be interesting to find out what motivates me to buy some of these cards that I did. All right, let's look at some of the cards I bought, shall we? So the first group of cards I bought came from football. Now, my focus is really mostly on quarterbacks. In general, quarterbacks drive the most value over life. You know, they're the most popular cards to buy, with a few exceptions. Walter Payton, Barry Sanders, just to name a few, that offer alternatives to quarterbacks. I really like focusing on the quarterbacks. And the quarterback I am looking right now, there's two of them that I focus primarily on, are modern-day quarterbacks that are playing at a super high level, generally. And the first one is my hometown favorite guy, Patrick Mahomes. This is his Optic rookie card in excellent condition. In addition to condition, I chose to buy this card, quite frankly, because I liked it. It's a great looking card. Not a big fan of the Prism rookie, not sure of the photography itself, and the fact that it's like $1 billion right now. Overpriced because, quite honestly, it has a lot baked into it. Multiple Super Bowl rings, multiple MVPs. But this is one that still isn't quite as expensive as that one, but it's one that I don't see myself having the opportunity to flip anytime soon. And I intend to. I bought this card, I'm going to get it graded and hold it for 5 to 10 years or whatever long it takes, but really let his career work itself out before we make any selling decisions and look at the exit strategy. And by the way, just in case things go well, I bought two. So that's the first one I bought. The next player I looked at is another quarterback who last year came on the scene with a blaze of fury. His first start was against my beloved Chiefs and played really, really well. He plays for the Los Angeles Chargers and he goes by Justin Herbert. So here is his select field level, bronze. Bought his Obsidian card. I really went for the rare numbered cards, quite simply because they're numbered, they're supposed to be finite. So that's why I think this is one that's going to be good to hang on to for a long time. And then lastly is his rookie memorabilia. Can't say that. It's numbered to 10. So pretty cool card. Justin Herbert's a guy that he's got the great specs. He has a strong arm, an accurate arm. He's doing really, really well with just good wide receivers, not great receivers. So I think he has a huge upside once Los Angeles figures out how to give him the necessary talent he needs to go to that next level. So I'm really optimistic and really bullish on what Justin Herbert's going to do for a card value in the long run. Not looking at this in a short term, it's really more of a long-term play. Again, another 5 to 10 years. Let's see how his career pans out before we go forward. So let's look at baseball now. Now, baseball is a sport I really have always enjoyed collecting. I mean, they were called baseball cards. That implies no football, no basketball, no hockey. Baseball. And today, they are baseball cards, but they're part of the sports card collection. It's funny when people come up to me and say, hey, can I see your baseball cards? I'm like, sure, but I got a lot more cards than that. I got other sports up there. I even have wrestling. And again, being from Kansas City, could not help but looking at the greatest Royal of all time. No, not Bo Jackson. No, not Eric Hosmer. Not Mike Moustakas. Not even Brett Saberhagen. But we're looking at the other Brett in Kansas City, and that's George Brett. This one, he was my idol growing up when I was a kid. Every memory I have about baseball was about George Brett. I went to go see my first Royals game against the Seattle Mariners. He hit a 3-run homer. It was really cool to see, so it does strike some good memories. And guess what? Hall of Famer, 98% of the votes. He's definitely one that I am going to collect him. I have a few of his grade 8 cards up there. I don't think this will get any higher because grade 9 cards for 1975 is pretty hard to accomplish. But at the end of the day, you can never have too many rookie George Bretts. So 1975, considered vintage. Love the vintage cards. Another vintage cards I bought is the 1959 Mickey Mantle. I actually did buy two of them. Mickey Mantle, this card I got once upon a time when I was a teenager, and my sister was dating a guy at the time, and he just brought over all of his old baseball cards. He saw I liked them, so he gave me his old ones. One of the cards that was in there was a pretty beat up 1959 Mantle. It was still one of the favorite cards I had. So about 4 or 5 years later, I went to a card shop because I wanted to take that card and trade it in for some modern cards. So I took it in and I traded in for a rookie George Brett, not one of these. That card is actually being graded right now. Should be back any day now. And I also traded it for a 1987 Fleer Glossy baseball card set because I really wanted to get that Will Clark that was in there. Will Clark. We all know how Will Clark turned out. Many of you don't even know who Will Clark is. Unfortunately, I took that set about a year and a half later and I traded in to a different card shop and I got the 1989 Score football set and the 1989 Topps Update football as well. That worked out because in that set I got the Barry Sanders rookie and the Troy Aikman rookie, which were previously graded, both graded as a 9, and it's not a 10, but still favorable from $1. In the Topps Update set, I did get the Barry Sanders. So if you look at the top row, second from my right, you'll see that as a grade 10. So that turned out very well. So ultimately, the Mickey Mantle turned into what became a rookie Barry Sanders, 2 of them, and Troy Aikman, and then a few others. So very, very happy with that. Oh, let's not forget the Brett. So going back full circle, that's why this year I went back and got the Mickey Mantle again in much better condition. And just to make sure I got it right, I bought 2 of them. So that's what vintage baseball looks like. Going into the modern day baseball, this is where I'm hoping that these aren't GOATs yet. Maybe one day they will be. These are 2 players that are very, very young, have a lot of energy. Both are probably finalists for the MVP in the NL this year. And I think it's going to be a race between these 2 for the next decade, at least I hope. And those 2 players are Juan Soto and Fernando Tatis. Don't need to say too much more about their ability, but I do know these 2 young studs are going to be carrying the National League for a long time. Juan Soto is due to get paid. Fernando Tatis has already gotten paid, and he's still producing. All right, the last group cards I bought are the GOATs. Now, these aren't traditional GOATs. You're not going to see Babe Ruth. You're not going to see a rookie Jordan here. Quite frankly, I can't afford those right now. Maybe one day. Who knows? But these are the GOATs. These are the one players I believe are GOATs. These are the folks that I believe are one of the all-time greats. And when you look at my GOATs, you're talking about, well, easily Hulk Hogan. I mean, come on. Who's a better wrestler than Hulk Hogan? Don't say The Rock. He would smoke The Rock. And then in basketball, it didn't say Jordan, but I do think the GOAT of shooting, the best shooter of all time, easily goes to Steph Curry. Now, I'm very excited about this card. I bought it at a card shop in Gainesville, Florida. I saw this thing in the display case and couldn't help notice how spectacular the condition of this card was. So I'm very, very much looking forward to seeing this grade and see how it comes back, but feeling really, really good that this is going to be at least a 9. We shall see. I'm going to look at it closer under magnification and under better light, but to date I have not seen any flaws in this card. Very excited about this Steph Curry. And then the GOAT of quarterbacks, Tom Brady. Couldn't pass up on this one. You got to have a Brady. At this point, bad move if you do not have a Brady in your collection, or investment for that matter. And then the GOAT of all GOATs. When you talk about Jordan, when you talk about Brady, when you talk about Ruth, nothing. The real GOAT of all GOATs, you have to go to a different sport, and that's in the TCG world. You're talking about Charizard. When you're talking about the greatest of the greats, Charizard needs to be part of your conversation. Actually, this is not my card. This belongs to my niece. She just had a baby about a year ago. And what I'm going to do is get this card graded. It's in really, really good condition. So I took her from her collection, and I'm going to get it graded and give it back to her as a gift. With PSA, it won't be this Christmas. It'll probably be the Christmas when her son turns about 6 or 7 years old. So hopefully one day we'll get it to him as a gift. But at that point, yeah, Charizard is going to be worth something. Charizard, folks. So there you have it. There's all the cards that I bought. Now, the main reason that I bought these cards is, quite frankly, one of two things. Number one, they show promise and long-term value. But number two, I like them. I really wanted to have these cards in my collection. I do love what the card market has become. There are investors out there that are coming in using sports cards as an alternative investment. That spells something very promising for the long-term sustainability of the card industry in itself. It's promising. It's going to bring in new buyers into the industry. And especially when it goes digital, that's going to be an entirely new marketplace. It's going to bring in tons of new collectors. One day, these cards will become vintage, then they'll become antiques, and then, hey, one can dream. I'd love for these to become priceless one day. You never know. All right, so that's all I got for you today, folks. Thank you for stopping by at the very first episode of DIY Sports Cards. If you like what you heard, hit the like button, subscribe. Hey, tell me what cards you bought lately. Or did you buy anything in the crazy year? 2021 was a really strange year, especially for card prices. I'd like to see what your strategies were and see what you're going to do long term. In the meantime, have a great rest of the week, and I'll talk to you soon. Peace.